So for this digital storytelling project, we decided to talk about domestic abuse between teenagers because being in a classroom of teachers, it's something that we should obviously be educated about and know a little bit more about because it's something we might possibly run into in our classroom one day. And so we decided to go around ASU and ask students some questions on their thoughts about domestic abuse.
Alrighty, so you can watch and see all the results of the interviews and all of the answers, which are very diverse.
Which age range do you think has the most incidents of domestic abuse?
Domestic abuse, I think it would be anywhere from 9 to even 18, 9 to 18.
I have to say between 12 and 25.
Be from the age range of when you're a young kid, like 6 maybe, to like any time, maybe like 20 something, I think.
I'd say probably in the 18 to 27 range, somewhere around there.
I would say probably 18 to 24.
Let's say mid-20s.
18 to 30. I would think that, yeah.
30 through 50.
More like adults, probably like over 18, because that's when you start getting in serious relationships.
Do you think you could look at someone and determine if they are being abused?
No, I don't think so.
Yes and no. I feel like there's multiple cases. You can see it, obviously, if it's physical, but domestic isn't always physical, in my opinion. It can be emotional or verbal, and you can't really see that.
I think it depends on, like, the person, but I think for some situations, yeah.
It depends if it's physical. If it's physical, you could obviously see bruises and other things like that, but usually you can't tell.
No, I don't think you can judge a book from its cover. You just can't assume from someone just because they look like they might be abused or not. You just can't. You just gotta talk to the person and try to understand them and really understand who they are in order to make that assumption.
Yeah. Do you think abuse is common?
I think common is a very relative term. It's subjective to what everyone thinks as common. So for me, I don't think it's that common because I don't really hear that much about it. And then again, I'm not exposed to it because me as an individual, I don't have many friends who have been abused by like that.
I would want to define common, but I would say no if I didn't have a definition of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common. I think probably around 60 to 70% of people experience it.
I would like to think no, but I'm sure yes.
Describe in one word what abuse is.
I don't know. One word. Violence, I guess, which is just a synonym, but I guess that would be what I would say.
Mental destruction.
Pain is the first thing that popped in my mind.
Describe in one word what abuse is.
Wrong.
Mm. 50% of young people who experience rape, physical, or sexual abuse will attempt to commit suicide.
Violent behavior often begins between 6th and 12th grade. 72% of 13 and 14-year-olds are dating. 1 in 3 young people will be in an abusive or unhealthy relationship.
Teens who suffer dating abuse are subject to long-term consequences like alcoholism, eating disorders, promiscuity, thoughts of suicide, and violent behavior.
Only 1/3 of the teens who were involved in an abusive relationship confide in someone about the violence.
Roughly 1.5 million high school boys and girls in the U.S. admit to being intentionally hit or physically harmed in the last year by someone they are romantically involved with. 33% of adolescents in America are victim to sexual, physical, verbal, or emotional dating abuse.
Being physically or sexually abused makes teen girls 6 times more likely to become pregnant and 2 times more likely to get an STI.
Teens who have been abused hesitate to seek help because they do not want to expose themselves or are aware of laws surrounding domestic violence.
81% of surveyed parents believe teen dating abuse wasn't an issue or didn't know much about it. 36% of dating college students have given their dating partner computer, email, and/or social media passwords, which sometimes leads to dating abuse. Girls and women between the ages of 16 to 24 experience the highest incidence of intimate partner violence, 3 times the national average.